Good evening.
Good evening.
Grainy, dank, moist day in LA. So having said that, let me go on to Ghetto Sketches. We're in chapter 3 now of this book. I have to say this each time I start reading for fear that someone will not know that I'm reading and thinking I'm just jiving.
From the revised Ghetto Sketches,
I do have to.
2021.
Having said that,
Yes, sir.
now can we go on to chapter 3?
Yes, please.
Okay, look background. I'm giving little sketches of things that happen with people in this neighborhood. So as it goes from scene to scene, the conglomerate will eventually wind up being a look at a ghetto city block, which are not like other blocks.
Right.
You know, I think let me emphasize African American ghetto city blocks.
Please, yes, clarification, please.
Because I know that Italians have ghetto city blocks too, and the Jews and so forth and so on. This is an African American ghetto city block. What's going on in this chapter is some guys sitting around, some young men, just shooting the breeze, drinking some terrible, awful wine that they bought for pennies, and they kind of messing around with people who, you know, pass by, and they wind up talking to one of their friends who is like a favorite. This is a guy named the Great Lord Buddha. Has nothing to do with religion at all. They just named him for the way he looked. And he's walking up the street with his girlfriend, Heatwave, whom they all adore because she is a heat wave.
Super fine.
She goes upstairs and, you know, is not content with the way the argument went, but he wants to remain downstairs to talk to his friends because he doesn't want to go upstairs and argue with Heatwave.
There you go.
He tells them that, well, we went to China once upon a time. I think this is maybe pre-Mao. Yeah, certainly pre-Mao. Oh, God, nothing like a hot cup of coffee on a cold day.
I love
As
the
you
steam.
can see, it's a cup of coffee.
I see it's a cover.
Which means it had different switches and changes.
Yes, it's hiding.
Moves and melody the compasses and
Yes, it's hiding the steam.
and
It's hiding the steam very well from the coffee.
I heard that. What was it like? What was it like for you, Buddha? He's talking about being in China. Clean out of sight. Something else. Like I said, I had managed to get my black ass out of China with this jade and all, thinking I was home free. But the first thing I know, I'd been rooked out of my jade by some slick-talking Armenian cats running the most sophisticated Murphy I'd ever encountered. And instead of landing in Europe richer than carnation cream, I wound up in Marseille on pure ass, hat in hand, stomach around looking for a way to get down. For those who are not familiar with Murphys, the Murphy game can be long or short. A short-term Murphy might be somebody who's doing a little thing with the cars and so forth and so on. The long-term Murphy might be somebody calling you on the telephone saying you've heard it 150 million, thousand, million, zillion bucks. And all you have to do is send them $25 and you'll be able to get the Murphy. I don't know why they named it Murphy. I wound up in Marseille on pure ass, hat in hand, stumbling around looking for a way to get down. Where's Marseille? Chico Daddy asked. He's one of the brothers who's sitting on. It's a port city in France. Little brother's a port city. And I'm going to tell you right now, if you ever want to go there, don't try to do it on a Greek freighter like I did. We must have sailed halfway around the goddamn world, stopping here and there, unloading shit here and dropping shit off there before we wound up in France. If I hadn't been a young man, like you all, I probably would have died from eating all that worm and bread and shit. That's mainly why my stomach is all fucked up today. That's right. I think I was sailing, incidentally, on one of those freighters owned by that old dude who's married to, what's her name? You mean, yeah, her. That's the one. Anyway, by the time we got to Marseille, I'd already decided to cut the freighter loose. If I had stayed on the bit too much longer, I'd either have starved to death, caught a red-hot case of the bubonic plague, or been nibbled up by rats. It's hard to say which. Believe me, it was a truly wretched experience. Buddha pauses to replace his cigarette. The Afro-Lords pause in their movements with the bottles. Anyway, I jumped ship 5 hours after we docked and started looking for a way to get down. All right? I'm in the city of Marseille. Fantastic bouillabaisse. Fantastic. And after 2 or 3 days of hustling, scuffling, doing a little this and a little that, I managed to catch a fantabulous Malay bitch named Daisy. And a place to hang my hat. The next thing I look around for was a way to make some Grand Theft dough. Well, I didn't have to look too far. Some Algerian dudes, there's something like the mafia over there, them and the Corsicans, got in touch with me to act as a go-between. My job was to get together with sailors coming in from the Orient and make deals for the heavy drugs they were smuggling in for the Algerians. It was, of course, full of all kinds of pitfalls and whatnot, but I stuck for about 2 months till one day I got greedy. What kind of bread was you into, Buddha? The great Lord Buddha taps ash from the end of his cigarette before going on. Oh, something like 8 bills a week. That's where the problem started. You see, I just couldn't see myself making peanuts, running the risk of getting busted and spending 50 long years in the Bastille, that's jail, while these motherfuckers at the top were steady raking in anywhere from 50 to 100,000 grand a week. I mean, that's how lucrative the enterprise was. So, first chance I got, I palmed a half pound of uncut heron. I palmed a half pound of uncut heron, fresh from the laboratory by way of Turkey, and split along with my women. By this time, I had collected myself a regular little harem. I had Daisy, the Malay broad, a big blonde Alsatian bitch named Yvette, and a little jet black diamond of a sister from Senegal that I call Mademoiselle Diop. Mademoiselle Diop. She was so black that her gums was black. And talk about being fine. Didn't nobody have to tell me black was beautiful. When I copped it, I could see it with my own eyes. Billy Woods, his eyes brightening, asked in a slow, awestruck voice, Buddha, how much dope did you say you cut out with? Half a pound, give or take a few grams. Oh, wow. A whole half pound of smack. That's right, little bro. 1/2 pound of pure heron. Without warning, the second floor window socks open again and Josie leans far on the ledge. Chester! Chester! God damn it! Are you gonna bring your jive ass up here or not? I'm not gonna be yelling out his window all night long. Woman, I told you I'll be up there when I get up there. Josie, mumbling a stream of dished up motherfuckers out, slammed the window down again, rattling the pane. See there? See there? That goes to substantiate a theory I've had for years. Don't ever get yourself involved with one woman, little brothers. Get 3 or 4, but never one. There really is safety in numbers. Yeah, I can tell where you coming from. About that dope. How much was it worth? You know, a whole half a pound? Buddha, his lip corners pulled down in a haughty fashion. About $500,000, just the way it was, uncut, you dig? Wow. God damn. Anyway, I split with my ladies, had to cut Yvette and Mademoiselle Diop loose. Excess baggage, no pun intended. Ha ha ha. And believe me, that was one of the hardest things I've ever had to do. I held on to Daisy because she had some relatives in Paris that I could deal my shit off to. Paris! Paris! S'il vous plaît. Magnifique! Ravissant! Hey, give me some of that rock cut pluck. Y'all.
Drink it all up.
J. Parley Francais. 2 bottles, 3/4 empty, are thrust out at him gallantly. Buddha snatches the nearest one, takes a long swallow. I don't see how y'all can drink this shit, terrible as it tastes. He takes another long professional wino gulp and continues his story breathlessly. Now dig it, dig it. I'm in Paris. Here I am in Paris, the queen of the city. In one hand, I got a half a suitcase full of monies, and in the other hand, I got half a pound of uncut horse. And one of the planet's hippest bitches trailing me like a love-struck puppy dog. I'm really in a bag, you dig? I got to do several things at once. One of the first things I got to do is get rid of these narcotics, because there ain't no way I can get across the border. The next thing I got to do is get me across the border, because them Algerian dudes gonna be jiving, and I know they're gonna be on my ass like white on rice. Soon as they discover that I have confiscated and cut out all this dope I have. Buddha pauses for a long pull on the wine bottle, absent-mindedly sticks another cigarette into his ivory holder. Within a week's time, Daisy had put me into her cousin's brother or her uncle's nephew or somebody, and I had managed to deal off my drug for 250 million old francs. How much would that be in real money? Willie Burks and Billy Woods chorus together. Buddha casually adjusts the polka dot ascot around his throat before answering. Oh, yeah, about $500,000. The Afro-Lords lean on their elbows, astounded by the figure, eyes glazed and shiny from the wine. I started to hold out for $1 million, but I thought, hey, dig, what the hell's the difference, really, between $500,000 and a whole million? Especially since I was flirting with instant death, no replay. Every day I was in France, what with the Algerians sniffing around for my rectal opening. So I settled for $500,000, got on the first thing smoking, going to Germany. Sherman, intently following the story, pops in as the question is slowly formed on Chico Daddy's lips. What happened to the Malay brawl, brother? Ah, well, I stuck 10 grand to her for services rendered, gave her one last hard supersonic fucking. and sent on down the road. Had to. It would have been too easy for us to get wrapped up together. Can you see it? A little slant-ass nigga and a high yellow Mongolian bitch. Can you dig where I'm coming from? She hated to part with, I sure hated to part with that bitch too. She was really a righteous lady. I think she went back to Indochina, what they call Vietnam now, or what's left of it, after we split. Buddha pauses for a long swig, looks far off into his memory, daydreaming, remembering for a few seconds. Where was I? On the way to Germany. Okay, Germany. Deutschland über alles, he says, and sticks his chin out aggressively. I didn't really dig Germany all that much. There was a hell of a lot going on there around about this time. Maybe some of your mothers and fathers remember the German thing about then. The Nazis were coming into power and they were giving the Jews purity hell. And everybody else they didn't dig. I mean, you would have had to actually be on the scene to believe the trips they were taking the Jews on. It was a whole lot like niggas in this country been going through from day one with a few slight differences. I had a little taste of what was happening in Munich with a marble young dude about y'all age, Hitler youth, they called him. Chased me down the street throwing lumps of coal in my head. It didn't take too much of that kind of treatment for me to decide that I want to be somewhere else. So I schemed and bribed everybody in sight and got on. Dig it, didn't I, little brother, dig it. I didn't really know what was happening in the States, having been away so long, but Europe was in an uproar. The Hitler thing was going on strong, and I didn't want any part of that, but I didn't want to go back to those Nazis in Mississippi either. Right on, bruh, Buddha, right on. So, with my money and pretty clothes, I decided to make it to the Scandinavian scene. Bobo, Sherman, and Chico Daddy exchanged puzzled looks and nudged Billy Wood. The who said? The Denmark champ, Copenhagen to be exact. It was the spring of the year and everything was happening. I could see when I got there what people called it the Italy of the North. Italy of the North. I can remember walking through Tivoli Gardens, a big old amusement park they got over there, tipping my lid to every fox in the place, and damn, they're getting ripped off every time I flash my smile on somebody. It was a real groove, but I still felt kind of shaky because I knew the Algerians wouldn't be giving up if they had the slightest chance of ripping me off, and they were kind of dudes who would pinch your nuts off and stuff them in your jibs before you were tortured to death. Several pairs of knees subconsciously draw themselves together slightly. Oh, wow. Sound like a cold bunch of dudes. Buddha spilling the corner down his throat from the side of his mouth, pro-wino style. Right on, young blood, right on. But they didn't keep me awake at night. I mean, not really. I had everything I wanted, living like a Viennese pimp in a swank hotel downtown, spending money like it was going out of style and doing whatever I felt like I was doing. And to top it off, within a month I had copped an Italian countess who had more bread than I did. Man, them chicks stayed on your case, didn't they? You better believe it. Not only that, the broad had old money. You know what I mean? So I thought. When I first cut into the broad at a party on the 15th floor of my hotel, I couldn't believe she was into too much. But there was something about her, some kind of flavor. You know, bitch had class. That's what it was, class. That old style class that can't be bought for money. She wasn't outrageously beautiful or anything. She was just fine as a motherfucker. Like an antique chair or something. In addition to that, that was enough. She had so many names and titles stuck to her that it took the cat who introduced us, a lord or something himself, 5 minutes to rumble through them. I could never remember all those names, and so from the beginning I wound up calling the bitch Susie.
Oh, Lord.
Susie, that's what I call her.
Okay.
The Afro-Lords snicker. You got a cold over there?
No,
You got a cold?
no. Just,
This is cold.
yeah,
This
that's
is
cold. That is cold.
That is cold.
All right.
The Afro-Lords snicker give each other fives all around, half drunk on cheap wine. Bam and Baby June try to pass like dark, slim wolves looking back over their shoulders apprehensively. Wonder what them fools in stole this time. Or on their way to steal. Ain't no telling, man. Ain't no telling. Chico Daddy shush to the group. Shh. Go ahead, Buddha. Go ahead. What happened then? Buddha, in his hand, a little less steady now, places his empty bottle at the corners of steps. Pulls another cigarette out of the flat box and lights it without his holder. Within a month, me and the Countess hooked up. Funny how I caught her. One minute we were in a room full of people discussing international bullshit in 6 or 7 languages. Next minute we was off in the study or the library or somewhere, standing behind some heavy drapes. And I had shot about 3 yards of tongue off into her jibs and wobbled 4 fingers of my left hand up into that raw pussy. Just one of the love at first sight things, I guess you call it. Anyway, he paused to take a long drag on his cigarette. Just to make a long story short, we got off into it. Believe me though, brothers, it was heavy drama. Heavy dripping drama. I bought me and the contest matching Ferraris to buzz around in.
Wow.
I knew if push come to shove, we could fall back on her though. If we were taking holidays in Greece and swimming around Capri and shit.
Yes, that's it.
You know, living that jet set life to the absolute gills.
Yes.
I found out then how easily dough can slip through your fingers. I checked my accounts one day and discovered I was down to a couple of $100 grand. But it didn't really matter because I knew the Countess had bread. So we kept on partying. Every now and then I'd have a slight chill slip up and down my spinal column thinking about the Algerians. But what the fuck? I was living high off the hog, so it didn't really matter. Nothing mattered but that sweet life. The Countess used to call it La Dolce Vita. La Dolce Vita. I think I can give that so-called La Dolce Vita and the Countess credit for taking me off into heavy drugs. We didn't know you was a hype, Buddha. Well, I'm not now, but I was one for damn near 5 years. I had gotten onto a fast track with Susie, and one night, probably for lack of anything else to do, we stuck some hypodermics off into our veins, and the next thing I knew, both of us were hooked. I'd hate like hell to try and guess how much of that H I'd sold and gave Paris finally wound up in my own veins. talk about poetic justice. I tried to kick a whole bunch of times in fancy Swiss sanitariums and whatnot, you know, where rich white folks go when they want to try and get their heads straightened out. But nothing worked. For one thing, the countess was hooked and she didn't give a damn. She actually dug the whole trip.
No
You hear what I'm saying? So like the fucked up weakling I was, every time she shot up, I shot up too. By this time my money was starting to get funny. I was hooked, and to beat it all, I found out the contest was a fucking phony.
Oh no.
The bitch was a dago from Arkansas or somewhere like that. And she'd been tripping around Europe for years, running one of the grooviest games ever known. And if that wasn't bad enough, me being addicted and her being a phony, I found myself in love with the hoe. In love. Little brothers,
No.
can you dig where I'm coming from?
No.
Of course you can't.
No.
I couldn't either. Buddha leans in closer to Billy Woods' face, gesturing wildly. In fucking love. We had a long way to go before we'd have to start worrying about where the next fix was coming from, you dig? I had enough dough to keep us from becoming a Bam and June for a while anyway, but both of us were going down like the Titanic, and I couldn't cut your bitch loose because I was in love with her. The second floor window, socks open again. Josie leans out, her hair in rollers, cold cream smeared on her face. Drop. All right. All right. She screamed down at Buddha. You lying-ass son of a bitch. You want to stay down there telling lies to them little simple-ass punks the rest of the night, huh? That's all you want to do, sit around on your ass, on your loud ass, telling them goddamn fictitious-ass stories. Josie clutches sheets of paper in each hand as she screams. The whole effect of her in the window both comical and tragic. The great Lord Buddha half raises himself from the step, panic on the feature. Josie! What the hell are you call yourself doing, Josie? And goddammit, if you ain't telling them, writing them, here! Why don't you read some of this shit to them since they so interested in every goddamn word? She flings handful upon handful of handwritten manuscript out of the windows. And while you reading that shit to them, she follows the papers drifting down in the heavy night air like square flying birds with shirts, suits, shoes, hats, and 3 or 4 slow flittering polka dot ascots. Maybe one of them will give you a place to sleep, cause you sure as hell ain't gonna come and lay up behind me no more with your worthless child ass. Buddha, standing straight up now, the panic look replaced by rage, shakes his fist at her. Josie, goddammit! You have told you not to ever touch my stuff! Buddha sprints up the stairs. The Afro-Lords, suddenly shocked out of the story groove, make a half-drunken game out of scrambling for the loose sheets of paper and deck themselves out in Buddha's clothes. What the hell is it? Dig this, all the pages are numbered. What the hell is it? Man, I'm telling you the truth, you dudes ain't got a bit of cool. It's a play, Chico Daddy. It's a play. The gang members continue gathering pages and bringing them under the light of the street lamp. Here's the title page. The Great Lord Buddha by Chester L. Simmons. I never knew Buddha's whole name. Let's get all the pages together. The unmistakable sound of a pistol shot and then 5 more in slow succession. slow succession punches through the night. The Afro-Lords is frozen in place by the first shot. Stand looking sadly up to the second floor window. Buddha's hats and suit coats hanging loosely on their slender shoulders. The street, quiet up to now, except for rumbling L trains in the distance and a million miscellaneous sounds of the ghetto hum, drums, props, is suddenly alive. The Lords scramble to get the rest of the sheets together. Neighbors peer cautiously out of their windows and then, as if by spontaneous combustion, congregate in front of Buddha's building. They buzz around, gossiping already, speculating, making predictions, and stare at the Afro-Lords in their haphazard Buddha garments as though they were freaks. The colony's lawkeepers arrive within minutes, pistols drawn, 5 carloads full. They make their way arrogantly through the group. All right, here, everybody move aside, clear the way here. Let me repeat that. All right, here, everybody move, clear the way here. They cautiously invade the building, come out minutes later with Buddha handcuffed. The Afro-Lords wave sheets of paper at him as he is pushed toward a squad's car. We got you played, Buddha, Billy Woods shouts out to him. We got you played. The police react as though a new style riot were on the verge of happening, with the boys waving sheets of paper at them. A sergeant backs toward his car, frightened but trying not to show it, or shout, all right now, clear the streets, excitement's over. Move along there, and we won't have any trouble. The people laugh at his fear and stroll away grumbling. The gang shuffles away into the hallway of the building next door. A few minutes later, 2 ambulance attendants arrive, bring Josie's body out. The cold horse-plaid blanket nursed carefully against her curves. After the ambulance leaves, the gang wanders in a daze back over onto the steps. They sit there, silently putting Buddha's play together by the numbers and passing it to Billy Woods, who reads each page aloud as it is passed to him. Is that it? That's the last page? That's all we got. Billy Woods nods his head sadly from side to side and announces to the group around him. Ain't no ending to it. It ain't got no ending.
No, we don't.
And that's how we come to the end of page 3. I mean,
Chapter
to chapter 3.
Thank you much. Whoa, a lot going on there.
I hope everybody's receiving the idea that it is sketches rather than a sequential novel. Things do trail each other, I think, or
but similar circumstances found in many ghettos.
Yeah. But possibly any place. You could pick a quiet street and name any suburb you want to think of. And on a day-to-day level, it might be a case of some kid wheeling his bike down the street who accidentally bumps into a neighbor's fence. That would be the happening of that day.
Right.
I'm trying to make whoever might be interested understanding that this might be the happening of just any day in this neighborhood.
Any day, any night.
If I can achieve that, I feel I have served my purpose.
You
and on that note, excuse me, I'm sorry, you were about to say?
You certainly have.
Oh, I thank you for saying what you just said.
Yes.
You mean that in a nice way, right?
I most definitely do.
Oh, okay.
Definitely.
I know how critical you are.
Yes. Well, I feel for
this is Salena-Hawkins,
yes,
who is one of my very favorite critics, who's apt to say, oh, after the camera goes off, she's apt to say, oh, that really hit the mark. Or,
Well, this I like, and
I'm just kidding.
I like, and I think you feel for the great Lord Buddha, a man with dreams, hopes, aspirations.
So you know what? I have had this go on for years, trying to explain the great Lord Buddha, and because I had the opportunity to teach a writing class at a Buddhist temple, I wound up talking to Master Thich Tin Long about a book I'd written called The Great Lord Buddha. And he didn't understand what, I can't understand how you could call a human being a Great Lord Buddha. I said, no. In our community, in my neighborhood, people are called names like the Big Cat. Little Mama. I'm sorry, Big Mama. Big Mama may be 5'2", but she's still Big Mama.
For a little bit.
Okay, what I've made an effort to explain to him is that because we are African Americans who've been imported here, we've managed to turn a whole bunch of things upside down, so that you wind up having somebody who's supposed to be considered a pariah of the community winds up being a heroic member of the community. I'm not talking about Martin Luther King. I'm talking about Sweet Daddy Do-Right.
Right.
Sweet Daddy Do-Right. You got 5 hoes on the street with a big car. So, okay, shit. He has succeeded. He has achieved he has become what America's about. He's a success by any means necessary. So the whole thing is convoluted and twisted and turned, and one of the things I'm really working at real hard is to make whoever is interested understand that Ghetto Sketches is simply sketches, and after that I'm going to
How about
go off. Glad you were able to join me.
I certainly am glad to have joined you too on this cool evening.
Oh, it's cruel.
Yes,
it's cruel.
Cool.
It shouldn't be this chilly out here.
Yes.
That's why I came to California in order to get warm.
I know. But you had
hopefully tomorrow will bring more sun.
But you had a hot story there.
And I'm going to continue with
Chapter 4.
Chapter 4, which is Mother Wit.
Ah.
For those of you who've never experienced what Mother Wit was all about, hopefully this will be a rock
enlightening
into that door.
This is so true. Witness to you.
Witness to you, baby.
Day.
Baby.
A day.